Final instructions from the referee, Pat Russell, and will be underway, scheduled for 12. Bernard Hopkins defending his IBF middleweight title against Glen Johnson. Hopkins in his 8th title fight, 1993. His first opportunity was against Roy Jones, who has since moved up in weight. It was for the IBF crown. He lost over 12 to Roy Jones, and then had a draw against Segundo Mercado in 1994 in his 2nd title try for the IBF championship, and then stopped Mercado in 1995 with a 7th round knockout, and has defended it successfully 4 times since. Hopkins in gold, Glen Johnson in the purple trunks with black trim. Watching Johnson in some previous fights, difficult guy to find, Gil. He's very good defensively. He's kind of a safety first fighter, but he can punch, as his 22 KOs would indicate.
Very, very cute guy, Tim. He's the kind of guy you don't want to take any chances with, because as you mentioned, he can nail you coming in. And Hopkins came out quickly, just the way he told us he was going to. Wants to get rid of this guy early, but again, that may be a formidable task.
Hopkins, an excellent mechanic, well-schooled fighter. You call him a complete fighter. He does have some power, although it's more often that he kind of wears you down, because he makes each punch count, and they are heavy punches.
Big right hand.
Yes, he caught
right on the butt,
leading in.
And Johnson took the punch, to his credit.
Right on the chin.
And Johnson, they said, how does he expect to win the fight? He says, easy. I have to hit him more than he hits me. Pretty simple explanation.
That's right. That's the theory and the way boxing should be scored. Hopkins, he gets in close. He will make every punch count. He won't just wait on you. He'll bang something somewhere. You saw some body shots in the last exchange.
And he throws some beautiful straight right hands, Tim. They're quick and they're accurate.
A minute to go in the first round, scheduled for 12. Championship action on the CBS Sports Show. Hopkins and Johnson.
A little low blow by Johnson, excuse me. Won by Pat Russell.
Glen Johnson suffered a cut in his last 2 fights against Sam Garr, a tough battle. He won over 10 rounds against a guy who could punch some, was undefeated at the time. And Dave Hamilton, he stopped in 2 rounds, but he cut in both of those fights and has recovered. They were both from headbutts, punches.
All right, step out.
Final seconds of round number 1. A world championship at stake at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California. Tim Ryan and Gil Clancy watching the champion of the IBF middleweight division, Bernard Hopkins, in gold. Glen Johnson in purple with black trim from Miami, Florida. Originally from Jamaica, has been living in Florida since the age of 14. Trained by Pat Burns. Bernard Hopkins has Bowie Fisher, his trainer, in his corner. Last outing, Hopkins, in defense of his title, stopped John Jackson in 7, April 19th of this year. Johnson's last outing, a 2nd round knockout of Dave Hamilton in January.
Good uppercut by Hopkins. Again, right on the button. It didn't seem to faze Johnson at all.
28-year-old Johnson from Clarendon, Jamaica, now living in Miami, as we said. 3-time Florida Golden Glove champion.
Johnson is going to have to nail Hopkins with a couple of good punches, because Hopkins is really taking chances, really throwing bombs, and Johnson just isn't countering enough at the time, right now.
Interesting thing about these 2 fighters, they started as light heavyweights, Gil. It's often the case that fighters move up in weight. These 2 guys actually started at 175. Indeed, Johnson, his first fight was at 195 pounds when he turned pro. Didn't start to box until he was 20 years old. That is a good left hand from Hopkins.
That is a very interesting point, Tim. And again, you can see Hopkins when he has a guy hurt. Really trying to get him out of there.
Pouring it on, but good defense by Johnson. He covers up well with his hands up high. Hopkins trying to find openings, pounding away. Johnson has not thrown a punch back, but he still has his legs well under
That's
him.
what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to gain Hopkins' respect to stay in this fight.
It's round number 2. Johnson gathered himself there with some good defense.
But he's going to have to show a little offense, Tim. He weathered the storm, but he has to get Hopkins' respect.
Johnson fired a low blow there that the referee didn't see.
Take a step out. Let me untangle. I got it. Let's go.
So far, Johnson's left hook has been his best punch. Left hook to the body, not to the head.
Hopkins looking very relaxed here, throwing punches and bunches. And now Johnson grabs on here.
That's an indication that he's being hurt by those punches, Tim.
And a little weary from the assault. Under 30 seconds we go in round 2.
There, Johnson fired a left hook back to the chin.
Free up those hands. Free them up.
Johnson undefeated, 32-0 with 22 KOs, but hasn't been in against the same type of opposition as the champion Hopkins. Final seconds, round 2.
Now go.
Round number 3, scheduled for 12, the IBF World Middleweight Championship. The champion in gold is Bernard Hopkins from Philadelphia. The challenger is Glen Johnson from Miami. Jamaican-born.
And Tim, in Johnson's corner, they said it's going to be tough for another round or 2, and then you're going to be able to take over. I don't know whether they've scouted Hopkins and feel that he gets tired. But again, Hopkins is using a lot of energy, throwing a lot of punches.
Hopkins with wins over the likes of Ralph Moncrief, Dennis Milton, Segundo Mercado, John Jackson, Joe Lipsy. He said Glen Johnson has not been in against a lot of the big names in the middleweight division. 25-5 as an amateur, 3-time Florida Golden Glove champion.
There you go, Glenn. Put the light behind it. Underneath.
Hopkins, who idolizes Marvin.
Here's that uppercut, Tim.
And there's a bang to the body from Hopkins.
Again, Hopkins takes a chance when he throws that uppercut. Because when you throw that punch, you're wide open. But so far, Johnson has not taken advantage of it. It's a very dangerous punch.
Two good body shots, but one of them low, and he gets a warning from Pat Russell, does Hopkins. Hopkins, just this past May, was in court shaking himself loose from his promoter Butch Lewis over a contract dispute. Happy man since doing so. Hasn't been real active as a result of that ongoing dispute up until May.
Again, now Johnson is jabbing, but he's jabbing at the air, Tim. You have to hit something when you throw that left jab. That's what he is going to have to do to stop Hopkins. He's going to have to hit him with something. See you drag back with that jab. There it is again. Now they're yelling in the corner that he has to touch Hopkins with the jab. It's exactly what he hasn't been doing.
Under a minute to go in round number 3. Hopkins has shown every punch in the book. As you said, he's a complete fighter.
But again, there's that uppercut on the inside, Tim. That's very dangerous. Get nailed coming in with that punch, you're gone.
Johnson finally lands with the left, backing up Hopkins momentarily for the first time in the fight. And he lands a left hook lead. That shook Johnson.
Drop your punches on it, Glenn. That's it. Drop the hook.
Hopkins has jabbed with his lead, shown a left hook lead, a right hand lead.
Here's that uppercut again by Hopkins.
And it even led with that uppercut. Final seconds of round number 3.
Stop letting me get set. Get your jab. Come on.
Round number 4 of the scheduled 12-round middleweight championship fight for the IBF crown. The champion in gold is Bernard Hopkins. The challenger is Glen Johnson from Miami, originally from Jamaica.
And in Johnson's corner, they mentioned that he's being short on his jab. He's going to have to bury the jab. And I think that's very good advice because he has been too timid with that jab.
Pat Burns, his trainer. He lands an overhand right